I feel like I've always been a supporter of plastic surgery in way of like making yourself feel better and doing things that like are good for you. But then I just saw Brooke Schofield's TikTok where she got her eyelids cut. There's gotta be a limit. Like, some lips look like they're gonna explode. Like, everyone, like, you girls are beautiful. It kills me. Oh my gosh, Brie Olsen, before all the plastic surgery, beautiful. Beautiful. Now, I'm scared.
I'll be calling people ugly, wondering why they want to get plastic surgery, or you call people burnt and then wonder why they want to bleach their skin. You are the problem, you 2x2 dumb dim. And that's the thing about the whole plastic surgery conversation. Society literally deems you attractive or unattractive. We've all understood this, right? So when society deems you attractive, it deems you worthy of certain things like love, opportunity, and all these other things. So as long as society measures people's worth based on their attractiveness, people are always going to want to alter themselves in order to fit in or get by or not be treated as less than. So if you can understand that, you shouldn't be talking about people's plastic surgery. But then again, some of y'all ain't got the access, the money, or the resources to go and make those changes you yourself feel as well. So you get on other people and their plastic surgery because it makes you feel better. Crazy. To me, these people are victims of society. And if you grew up your entire life being criticized for the shape of your nose or having big lips or certain features, you'd want to change it too. Don't be a liar about it. So how about y'all stop commenting on people's bodies? How about y'all stop calling people ugly? How about y'all stop talking about people's skin color? And then maybe they'd stop doing this, but I don't know. Welcome to my TED Talk. I thought this was common sense.
I am plastic surgery's #1 hater. I don't hate people who get plastic surgery. They're just victims of an awful and judgmental system that we happen to live inside. But I will always hate the plastic surgery industry, including surgeons who get on this app and glorify plastic surgery as some amazing thing that you should always aspire towards. It's so predatory towards women, and the way it's marketed is an ultimate example of capitalistic greed. It strips people of their individuality and heavily reinforces misogynistic and racist beauty standards. Like most girls, I spent years and years hating my face, thinking every single moment about how I can get plastic surgery as young as possible in order to fix what was never broken. My nose is not the tiny little button nose. And you know what? I've grown to love it. But plastic surgery for years was my main goal in life. I will never think it's healthy for children to grow up with the plan to change their features that function perfectly fine. This stuff should be used for reconstructive surgeries or relieving physical discomfort like a breast reduction or relieving gender dysphoria, not for purely cosmetic reasons. Cosmetic surgery is not something that's ever truly given actual power to women, and it's time for us to wake up and see that.
I don't think y'all realize how much a nose can make or break your face. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And I'm not anti-plastic surgery. Do what's best for you. If you like it, I love it. I'm just saying, take Tiffany Pollard, for example. There was nothing wrong with Tiffany's nose. Now, I can't even recognize Tiffany. I saw Tiffany on the Baddies East auditions and was like, who is that? I just seen another girl get her nose done. Now she having complications. You didn't even need to touch your nose. There was nothing wrong with your nose. And I want y'all to know them surgery noses come with a lot. Do y'all know y'all nostrils will never look the same? That's how I could tell a regular nose from a surgery nose. One nostril be this big and the other nostril be this big. So it's like, why are you even doing that? There's nothing wrong with your nose. Please leave your nose alone. And again, if you need it for like medical purposes, because some people literally can't breathe, like, so they need surgery to open up the, breathing canal, whatever. Cool. But if you're talking about aesthetics, girl, leave your nose alone. Some of y'all have bigger fish to fry. And the nose job, it won't fix anything.
Mark my words, the plastic surgery epidemic obsession with perfection is going to become the new BBL. Years from now, people are going to look back and be like, oh my God, why the fuck did we all get surgery? And then, everyone's going to be natural. Natural beauty is going to be in, and all these BBL body plastic surgery as are going to be looking stupid. They're going to be looking dumb.
So many girls in their early 20s are having a ton of plastic surgery, and then they just end up looking like a 32-year-old version of themselves. If you just waited like 6 years and got a little bit of lip filler, you probably would have been fine. But now you're going to look 10 years older than yourself for the rest of your life. Is that what you wanted?
So I hate to say it, but if you see a lot of the comments about Timothée Chalamet and Kylie Jenner, and a lot of people are saying it's mismatched, whatever. They're allowed to date who they want. She's allowed to change types. That's all good. You're happy, do your thing. But the comments of saying that she looks older than him, I have to say this. Like, I see comment after comment saying, oh, it's giving sugar mama vibes. yes, like to be fair, the guy is like very slim and young looking, especially if you're a woman of a certain age. Like he looks 19, 20 max. So, and she's like looks like a full grown woman, so it just feels a bit off. She's 26, he's 27. I have to say the plastic surgery has aged her. This is not like brand new information, but I do think it's, on a separate note, it's something important for young girls to know. Like if you're 18 and you think you have thinner lips and you just want to get a little plumpity plump, a little filler, this, that, like, go for it, do you, boo, but you most likely will look a bit older. I'm not going to name names of other influencers, but some of the biggest ones that have like the poutiest lips, they look gorge, about 5 years older. Like if they're 22, they look 27, 28. That's fine in your 20s. When you're 35, do you want to look 40? I don't think so. If you're 45, do you want to look 50? Not the case for everyone, but I've seen it enough when I see a very nipped and tucked face. I'm like, oh wow, she's really cute. She looks like in her mid-30s, and I'll see the woman's age is like 23, and I'm taken aback. So it's opposite day. Like the goal is to feel like beautiful and youthful, and you end up looking older a lot of the time. Because like I know everyone's so influenced, but to get lip injections and people watch these before and afters, and they're like, oh, my little lips, do I need that? Like, just think about it. Not just the aging part, like it's like your face matches the rest of you, your face matches, your lips are probably proportional to like the rest of your face, so like do you, but take a beat.
Don't come at me for this, okay? Don't. Because I'm not a hater of women. I think people should be able to do whatever they want to. I'm not a hater of cosmetic surgery, but I think whatever lip filler epidemic we're in right now, it's gotta end. Girls who don't even need lip filler be getting lip filler. Not that anyone needs it per se, but the point is to make your lips, bigger if they're really small, right? So why do girls that have naturally plump lips, like why are they getting lip filler? I miss when people had unique faces. Everybody having filler is giving them all that same side profile, and you can tell immediately. Like when somebody has lip filler, I look at them and like immediately I'm like, yeah, you have lip filler. I just think it looks really weird. I just think it's sad that everybody feels that they need it. I just think it's sad that it's become so popular and normalized, and I don't like it. I don't like it.
Now, I am not pro-plastic surgery. I think that its normalization puts women on this endless treadmill of self-improvement, and I think there's always going to be a degree of classism there because most people cannot afford regular plastic surgery. However, with that in mind, the reason women can't win, the reason we are judged for having bodies outside of the beauty standard by the same men who judge us for participating in plastic surgery to meet a standard that they set, is because women must be beautiful without knowing it. Also why the trope of she's beautiful but she doesn't care or try is like so huge in media, when in fact, newsflash, beauty is never incidental. It doesn't just happen. Women must be beautiful without knowing it because that means that beauty is inherent to womanhood. So if you have to try, that means that beauty and womanhood are different things. And if beauty and womanhood are separate things, that means that women do not have to be attractive to men to be real women. And that is threatening.
There is not an ethical doctor in the world that would give a 24-year-old a facelift. And then to come out that her friend who's defending her is like, well, I got a facelift at 21. There is an ethical doctor in the world that would do that. I genuinely feel like when it comes to doctors that talk about 20-year-olds getting Botox, like people under 25 getting Botox, even though, to be honest, I don't think people in their 20s need Botox anyway, or like women in their 20s getting facelifts and all these things specifically done to your face under the age of preventative aging. One, I think that it's balloony tunes to think that the best way you look is when you're closer to being a child than you are as a grown-up man. Like, it is kind of crazy to think that this is like the best you're ever going to look, so let's preserve it and all that stuff and like rob yourself from ever even getting to see what you would look like at that age. But I genuinely think that doctors that do extensive work, all full face of fillers, full, facelift, all these sorts of implants on the face especially, do it in order so that that person just comes back. They're more prioritized with you coming back and getting more stuff done and then making more money than you going at, say, 35, getting one thing done, or 45, getting one thing done and then being fine or needing a touch up. Like, it's more profitable to have them start now for you to be so scared about wrinkles and this and that now, because you're never going to stop being worried about it. There's always going to be a wrinkle. There's always going to be something sagging. There's always going to be this, that, and whatever. And seeing her before the facelift, it's like, what was the problem? Like, a lot of times it's like, why would you want your doctor exploiting, like, I don't want to call or diagnose them with like body dysmorphia, but there is an element of like dysmorphia in what you're looking at in your face to think that you need something that extensive. You know what I mean? What doctor would be fine having a patient like why would they be fine contributing to the delusion? No good doctor, no doctor that cares about you would be fine with that. Like, that's actually crazy.
Once you get plastic surgery, you have to kind of be careful because it's a slippery slope. It will make you want to just keep going and going and going. And no, I don't have a BBL. People think I have a BBL. I don't have a BBL. But I did have a breast lift, and I was looking at my breasts the other day and I was just thinking, you know, I could do one more round of a reduction, or I could do one more little lift. And then I was looking at my under eyes, and I even set up a consultation. I was thinking, you know, I could do a little blepharoplasty and get that under eye bag removed. And it's just a little, it's a slippery slope. You do one thing and you're like, oh, you know, if I fix that, I can fix this, I can fix this, I can fix this. And I don't want to be face froze, like all this plastic surgery fake looking, but it is a slippery slope. Once you get one thing done and it looks good and everything went well, you're like, you know what? I can get one more thing done.
A couple days ago, I made a video about having hooded eyes. This video was not exclusively about Brooke Schofield, but more about how this is kind of the most recent insecurity that I am being shown on my FYP. I have a whole video series called Inventing Insecurities, where the angle that I'm hitting is, you know, women are fed these kind of like made up insecurities, and then we are sold some kind of solution to fix the problem. But like 2 hours after I posted that video, when it only had like 7,000 views, Brooke Schofield commented on it. This is such an unbelievably weird response to one person sharing their personal choice without in any way encouraging others to follow suit. First of all, I immediately panicked and I deleted that comment, because truly this video that I made was not supposed to like be criticizing her, but that seemed to be how she was taking it. And I was just like, I don't want to fight with this person. I don't know this person. I don't want to get into it. But since then, I haven't been able to stop thinking about this comment, but also more broadly, I haven't been able to stop thinking about where we currently are in this kind of ecosystem of sharing cosmetic procedures and enhancements. The idea that someone like Brooke can make a personal choice without encouraging others to follow suit, that is a fallacy. She is an influencer. You don't have to look down the camera and say, I want you to buy this thing or do this thing in order to influence people. Even if you don't think you're encouraging people to get this procedure, language does matter. I have seen other clips of her talking about how her eyes were really droopy, and that when someone gets this kind of bleph, afterwards they'll look refreshed. What do you think that language says to people who are watching you? People who see those videos are then going to start analyzing their own features and thinking, if I don't get my eyes done, are my eyes going to look droopy? Am I not going to be beautiful? Because women are obviously fed the idea that we need to be beautiful. That's the most important thing since the moment we form consciousness. But coming away from Brooke's comment, in general, when it comes to cosmetic enhancements, there seems to be this kind of invisible line that people are not supposed to cross. As in, if someone already fits kind of perfectly into the current beauty standard, which I would argue that Brooke and also Indy Clinton already fit into, then the public thinks they shouldn't touch their features. Indy Clinton recently got a nose job and she's getting a lot of flack about it online. And people will kind of stumble across that line by accident, it appears, and that's when they come under scrutiny. It's like, oh, you already fit into this beauty standard that we kind of expect and encourage you to fit into. So the fact that they then kind of like messed with their features by getting these enhancements that are seen as kind of like extra, that's when the public reacts strongly. But what that beauty standard is at the moment is like a very small box that you have to fit into in order to be a successful woman online or in the public eye or whatever. Those beauty standards are going to keep heightening, and that box is going to keep getting smaller and smaller. It's no longer really acceptable to age naturally, thanks to the wide use of Botox. It's no longer really acceptable to have an ounce of body fat in the wrong place, thanks to things like Ozempic. And the more normalized those procedures and those products become,
the harder it will be to fit into that tiny little beauty standard box without using them. 20 years ago, I remember that Botox was considered something that like only movie stars got, and it would be weird and jarring to think about like your random neighbor getting Botox. But now, Botox is super normalized, so the public is used to it, and we are not going to be shocked that someone admits to getting Botox or like a boob job or veneers. So now the thing that we're gonna find jarring is something like the bleph thing. The goalpost of what is considered normal is going to keep getting pushed farther along. And the other side of this argument is that people can do whatever they want with their bodies. That is absolutely true. People can do whatever they want, but no one is making these decisions as purely a personal choice. And no one is making these decisions in a vacuum. It's this horrible catch-22. Like, I have a lot of empathy for these influencers. I also, I'm also staring at myself on my phone and looking at all my features. The more we all participate in these trends and the more people who get these procedures, the smaller and smaller and smaller that beauty standard box is going to become.
When it comes to this discussion, do you think the real issue is with the people getting plastic surgery and influencing others? Or is it society as a whole, who pushes people to change their faces and bodies just so they can be seen as beautiful?
The reason why so many people, particularly women, fall for the trap of plastic surgery and other optional enhancements is because we are told that being beautiful is the most important thing that we could or would ever be. The reason why so many people feel that they need to get plastic surgery is because they believe that beauty is individual features and not the sum of the parts. And the reason why some people become plastic surgery addicts is because they eventually learn that beauty is the sum of the parts, and that when you change one part, you must now change the other parts to match. The reason why beauty is subjective is actually not because there's not an objective standard. We know innately from the time we are babies what beauty looks like. And it varies from culture to culture, but one thing that all cultures, all ethnicities, and all races can agree upon is that to be beautiful is to appear to be in harmony. For many people, getting plastic surgery creates a state of disharmony. And even worse, it creates a state of mental confusion for the person who is beholding them. It's one thing for a person to get a surgical procedure that is demonstrably, objectively bad, where they and others around them can point out what makes it bad or what makes it wrong or what makes it not fit them. It's another thing altogether for a person to look at you, especially a person who didn't know what you looked like prior to your procedures, and know beyond a shadow of a doubt that something is off, but not be able to put their finger on it. And nothing is more irritating and frustrating to the human creature than being in a state of confusion. A lot of y'all are walking around giving uncanny valley, and people are reacting to that in a much more aggressively hostile way than they did to your previous bad appearance. When I was a teenager, Angelina Jolie was becoming a huge box office success and an A-list actress, and oftentimes white friends and classmates would comment on how they wish they had my lips, which was an absolutely ridiculous request, not necessarily because they were white, but because to have my lips, you would also need to have my eyes and my nose and other facial features to match. It's not necessarily that full lips are good and thin lips are bad. Emma Watson has thin lips and she is beautiful. Her lips match her cheeks and her nose and her eyes. And this is not about small noses versus big noses or large eyes versus small eyes. It's about the sum of the parts and how the features work in harmony with one another. But our cultures, particularly in the West, have chopped and dissected people to be parts, bits and pieces. We even rate people like this. We'll look at someone and be like, oh, well, she has great tits, but no, I don't want it. Or, you know what, I like her face, but her body's not doing it for me. So when people see themselves being dissected in this way, in terminology that reduces them to body parts and takes away the sum of their visual appearance, of course they're going to think that if I can just correct this one thing, then I will finally have achieved beauty. And as I mentioned, obviously, ethnic, cultural, and racial beauty standards vary. And particularly in the Black community, we have colorism and texturism and featureism, and these are very real things. Speaking as a member of the flat eye community, I know that even if I could get past what I think is the absurdity of risking my life to get a bigger butt, and if I wanted to put my money towards a venture of self-improvement of that nature. There's no way in this world that I would ever get a BBL without somehow managing to get myself matching thighs. Because the thighs I have match the butt that I have. And changing my butt, but not changing my hips, thighs, and even waistline is going to radically shift my entire body and the way that my body is perceived, and not in a good way. Everything is not for everybody. And usually when I say this, I'm talking about situations, ventures, relationships, habits, hobbies, etc. But right now I'm talking about aesthetics. Every hair type, every hair texture isn't for everybody. Every skin tone isn't for everybody. Every set of facial features isn't for everybody. Every body type isn't for everybody. And I know I just called out my flat out queens who get the BBLs, but also if you are a chubby woman with a chubby face, chubby arms, and a big fat ass, no one was ever expecting you to have no stomach. Be so for real. The stomach you have matches the body that you have, and you need to be okay with that. There is a reason why, as human beings, barring severe medical conditions or very unique set of genetic predispositions, we gain and lose weight evenly throughout our bodies. So just like with changes to the face, how changing your nose is going to change how your eyes and lips are perceived, changes made to the body is going to change how the surrounding body parts are perceived as well. A lot of you could stand to learn about things like color theory, visual balance, and aesthetic weight before plunging off the deep end and thinking that plastic surgery is the answer to your self-image problems, when 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be. You're not correcting weird growths and protrusions or cleft palates. You are here trying to nip and tuck or slim and trim or expand and inflate a certain body part to fit into a very fleeting trend of what the correct aesthetic should be. Now, I'm not going to bash anyone who's having plastic surgery and make moral aspersions on their character and say that they're a bad person or that they're a stupid person because they did that. But like most things, I think the desire to get cosmetic surgeries or enhancements is rooted largely in ignorance and in the way that our culture talks about and consumes beauty. Every now and again, someone will ask me why I don't fix my gap teeth, my diastema. And I have 3 major reasons why that is. Number 1, it's the only thing my maternal grandmother ever gave me. Number 2, I have otherwise perfect teeth, and I don't want to go through the effort to quote unquote fix a gap which may not necessarily remain closed. And number 3, I've had my gap teeth for so long, and I was teased about it as a kid, but by the time I was about 20 or 21, I honestly did not want to know what I would look like without my gap. Changing your teeth, like anything else on your face, is going to change how you are viewed, how you're perceived, and what you look like. Changing your teeth obviously is not going to be as radical as changing your nose or getting an eye lift or getting lip filler, because with your mouth closed, you're going to look the same. But that said, it is a change, and changes view how you are viewed. Even something as seemingly innocuous as makeup can have a huge effect on not only how you're perceived by others, but how you're perceived by yourself. There's something that's being studied now called makeup dysphoria, where a person who wears makeup very often in a very heavy amount, the type of makeup that is meant to overly contour and correct, then fails to recognize themselves in the mirror. They have makeup dysphoria. They do not recognize themselves without that makeup on. And so for this person, makeup no longer becomes a form of beautification, an accessory, an art form, or a form of self-expression. It becomes a mad scramble to put back on the face that they do recognize. Similarly, a lot of women who are used to having relaxed hair or straight weaves when they have naturally curly or coily hair feel a sense of dissociation when they must see themselves in their natural hair texture. I say all this to say that 9 times out of 10, the problem isn't what you look like, but how you feel about what you look like and how you are being judged by others based on the current trend because of what you look like. This is not to say that you shouldn't care or that other people's opinions shouldn't get to you. We live in a visual world. not just men, but women and children are highly visual creatures. And we are gregarious species, so the thoughts and opinions of other people are going to affect your access, your opportunities, your proximity to certain things that you want. But humans are also a very fickle and mercurial species. What we want, what we need, what we think is beautiful, and what we think is worthy change from generation to generation, sometimes decade to decade. So the question of the hour is not can you, but should you make painful, permanent changes to your body or constant temporary modifications to your appearance in order to be accepted by people who can't even accept themselves most of the time.
So I decided to get my nose done for medical reasons, actually. My left nostril had completely collapsed in on itself. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't sleep properly. I had been bullied for my nose my entire life. It was my biggest insecurity. It really affected my confidence and the way I carried myself. Sat on the decision for a few years. I worked really, really hard. I saved up a lot of money and I paid for it completely myself. So happy with the result. It's benefited my life in countless ways. Anyone else like her nose before? Yeah, the before definitely looked better.
People are always like, oh, normalize this. Here are some things we should unnormalize. Number one, and this is the only one I'm going to talk about, plastic surgery. Plastic surgery is dystopian. That is some dystopian ass. Is something that would be the plot line of some movie that Will Smith is in where he's wearing a robot costume, carrying around a gun saying, oh, that's not good. I've seen those videos of that plastic surgeon. I don't even know if she's a plastic surgeon or just someone with a lot of needles, but she will take like fake pictures of celebrities' faces and then Photoshop it to look like what she would want them to look like. She's like, ooh, here's all the procedures I would do to remove everything unique and good and human about this celebrity's face. That's weird and psychotic. Anyone who's ever gone plastic surgery, who gets plastic surgery, should never be shamed. Same time, like, no one should be encouraged to get it, I think. I think a huge part of this issue is because of like whatever wave of choice feminism where people were like, oh, I'm doing it for myself. Oh, this is empowering a woman's choice to do what she wants with her body. That's not the same thing. How can... It's okay. If you get plastic surgery, it's okay. You can admit it's not empowering. You feel empowered because you're seen as more attractive. In what world is you or anyone getting an invasive procedure to fundamentally change something about how you look empowering? How is this industry that has a clientele of almost 99% women who want to change what they look like empowering? How is that empowering? It's a double-edged sword because like when a celebrity, when an influencer gets plastic surgery, there's going to be people who are now commenting on their body being like, oh, she's fake, which means her worth is less because she can't get that insanely unrealistic figure naturally. No one can look like that naturally. And then there's other people who are like, what's your workout routine? Both of those things don't make sense. Celebrities and influencers that get it should be honest about it. They should come out and be like, yes, I feel like my big toe was a little too big, so now that fat is in my butt. Shouldn't be encouraged. It shouldn't be encouraged and it shouldn't be shamed. It's basically an impossible ask. Genuinely now you have like young girls or just people, just women getting labiaplasties. They are removing or adding to their to look like what? To look like one of the most painful procedures. For what? For what? To be more desirable? To be more attractive? To who? A man who's carrying on his great-great-grandfather's tradition of developing a new strain of dysentery within his ass. Like buccal fat removals. For what? To look like Timothy Chalamet? It only really works for him, and even then, not that much.
This video, to me, really sums up the issue when it comes to conversations about plastic surgery and the pressure people feel to change their appearance. The creator makes a whole video encouraging people to embrace their natural features and uses Timothy Chalamet as an example, saying his sharp cheekbones work for him, but that it doesn't mean everyone needs buccal fat removal. But then she also says his features don't even suit him that much. So, she's discouraging surgery while still slightly critiquing the way someone looks. And that's the problem. People say don't change yourself, but they still can't help judging other people's appearance.
Like buccal fat removals. For what? To look like Timothy Chalamet? It only really works for him, and even then, not that much. It's just sad because a lot of how a woman is treated is based on what she looks like. So, I get it, but it shouldn't be encouraged. It shouldn't. It should be discouraged.